Welcome to the Salt Circle Podcast. My name is Hank. With me is Ben.
Yeah.
And this week we're going to be talking about Lord of the Rings.
Fuck yeah. I've been looking forward to this one. And the tone was set. You fuck.
Look, I just got to balance it out, okay? Got to balance it out.
No, don't balance it out. When have we ever balanced things out? Korra wasn't balanced. Avatar wasn't balanced.
Yeah, but Korra was balanced in that neither of us were super high on it.
I suppose, yeah.
We were both measured.
Two neutrals equal neutral.
Yeah, I think.
I guess.
Just first, I think we should talk a little bit about our history, like how we first came to Lord of the Rings.
Give our background and all that. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Anyway.
Yeah, for me it was. My mom had read me The Hobbit pretty young, so that was just a kid's book that I loved. I just loved that story. I thought Gollum was a great villain, and then eventually, some years later, just read Lord of the Rings, the books, and this is before the movies came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I read them. I liked them okay. There are things I really like. There are things that I found kind of boring about them. And then years later, the movies came out, and I watched all of those. I think I saw all of them in theaters. The only one I really remembered the theater experience for was Return of the King, and all the endings, and people starting to get up and then realizing they have to sit back down. That was really the most memorable part of the theater experience with those.
Hell yeah.
But I've also seen. I think I've seen the special editions for all of them with the extra scenes.
Yep.
But only once. So I'm a pretty, I've taken all the basic stuff, and I'm a pretty casual, I like that stuff. I'm not super high on it. I really liked The Hobbit as a kid, as a kid's book, but
okay.
That's kind of where I'm generally coming from.
All right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, mine's, I don't know. I guess not embarrassing, but there's some regret with mine. So I think by the time I realized that maybe not realized that The Hobbit was a thing, but finally got the urge to read it, I was in 7th grade. So I was 13 or 14, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And blew through it. And I fucking loved it. I'm like, this is really good. I really like this. And started Lord of the Rings. Started, Fellowship. And I got through Tom Bombadil, that whole bit. And at the time, I don't know. And I just couldn't do it. I was just, I guess, young enough, brain dead enough at 13 where I was yeah, this is fucking dumb. Give him the goddamn ring. Whatever. The whole thing, just I took it, everything was taken how it shouldn't be taken, and just, had I read another 8 pages, I would have figured out why you shouldn't do that, and blah, blah, blah. And that was kind of where I stopped. And at the same time, this was, I guess, kind of an ongoing theme with me and my mom, is that we would go through books together, particularly fantasy stuff or whatever the series was. So Harry Potter, Aragon, and then this, except I stopped and she kept going, and she really enjoyed it. And then after a certain point, okay, so 7th grade, yeah, so this is 2007, 2008. It was probably a little bit after that, years after that, actually. I think that was high school, before she was oh, hey, I just saw there was extended editions of the movies out. I've never actually seen them. We should watch them. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. We ended up watching through all of them, not at once because we have other things to do that month. But I was you finish Return of the King, and I'm holy fuck, that was real good. I should go through these books again. I really enjoyed that. Go through the book. holy fuck, everything else is terrible. Like, these are fantastic. I'm a 14-year-old me deserves a punch in the throat. What the fuck? These are amazing. And it's,
I mean, 14-year-old, you definitely deserve to punch in the throat.
Oh,
I don't know
for-
if that's the reason,
for
but
like
for sure.
it is one of thousands of reasons. So yeah, that happened. I eventually, did up the Hobbit again. Got like a nice edition that of Lord of the Rings that is, one single book. Eventually did the, I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation, Silmarillion. Silmarillion. I'll remember it for like the next 5 minutes, and then that will go out of my memory. Yeah. So
Why do I
did
know
that.
how to pronounce it and you don't? I never even read it.
I don't
God
know,
damn it.
dude. I've seen the word like 1,000 times, and it's just one of those things. So I did that. I enjoyed it, but I need to do it again at some point. I've gone a bit more into other works, and I thoroughly enjoy them. And I guess that's the basic background, I suppose.
So the first time I read Lord of the Rings, my big problem was I couldn't keep Sauron and Saruman clear in my head while I was reading them. It was such a struggle keeping like those two characters separate for some reason.
How
The
old
names
were you?
were so similar. Middle school. I can't remember.
All right, so I'm judging you,
Yeah.
but like totally and completely understandable thing, but also
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I was
no,
I
that's
was a kid.
That's fair.
It was just at the time it was difficult when I would have to reread pages. I just have to go back. Like, which
Gotcha.
one was this? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing I couldn't figure out was really the thing was early in those books is why the fuck Saruman mattered. It seemed like Sauron was the one who mattered, but then Saruman kept being the one they were talking about all the time, which was really, I think, the core of it looking back, but
Sure.
so that was the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I mean,
It's a stupid minor thing. I totally do not have that problem anymore.
to this day, absolute bullshit.
No.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, still think it's a weird thing with how the villains in that story are structured in terms of like Saruman is like the first villain, the good guy who turned bad, but then you have
Yeah, but he's actually not the worst.
and then you never really get a confrontation with Sauron. Like that, you just don't ever get that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird story thing.
Yeah.
Well, I just think I think
don't know
Lord,
where to. Oh no! What?
Lord of the Rings, I just think as an epic, it's kind of structured weird. It's not like it's basically hero's journey, but there are weird elements to it that it's not like so much of our epic fiction is like streamlined these days. This is the Sauron that you never get a real any finality with Sauron is kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's just it's just a thing.
See, that's why when people, because I've met some people who, for those reasons, it's not just like meh. They're like, yeah, no, it's actual trash. Like it's bad because of that. And I suppose that depends on who the person reading is. Like, the reason why Lord of the Rings is actually my favorite fantasy isn't because of the like villains or even the characters or really anything that should be good in a standalone book. It's because it is arguably the best case of world building to be published. Like, once you get into the extended shit and all the manuscripts and all the other stuff that wasn't actually supposed to be published until Christopher Tolkien was like, yeah, okay, whatever. You get to see like why Sauron was bad shit and all of that. And like that's what I like about it. I don't know.
So you like you like the world he built, not necessarily the story?
I mean the story is good, but that's not the shining point of it, I don't think. Like one
Yeah,
line
I mean
that's
the world building is pretty defining towards all other fantasy, so it's hard to
Yeah.
like argue against it in terms of being fucking fundamental.
and I don't know, one line that sticks out like possibly more than any other line in the book is after they have come out of the forest right away after the hobbits have come out of the forest after meeting with Tom Bombadil. And there's like a really tiny brief moment, like this one line passage or whatever, and it's like something equivalent to like a look of sadness or distance came over his face because an old kingdom once stood here. And I don't know, just how it was phrased in what I vaguely knew of it at the time, it was really awesome to me to know that there is probably a full history that is written out prior to this novel about that kingdom. And, you know, that exists somewhere that I could read about it. And that's really awesome to me. I fucking love that. I'm a whore for it.
But you don't like comic continuity.
Okay, so
It's like literally building on things forever.
it's building on. I mean, it's building on. I like. Okay, I like. I like continuity of the same shit. I would like if comics did that, but it all expanded from a single point, and it wasn't like, oh, in this parallel universe, like Wolverine is actually Coyote, and he's part of the Y-Men. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. I hope. Otherwise,
I mean,
my
kind of.
clever.
I mean, it's not. It's only. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's poor.
I don't understand. I don't understand why stuff being, why mixing a alternate universe when that's just a standard thing is such a big deal. But okay,
It's not a huge deal. Like I don't mind it. I was. For anyone who wasn't privy to this, I had asked in chat a while back about continuity and I think just alternate universe kind of stuff in chat. I don't dislike that. I'm just more of a fan of one thing with tons of history and backstory, I guess, like consistent to one timeline, I guess. But yeah, that's definitely the big draw for me. And the whole, and honestly, like some of this I learned first from watching all of the special features on the extended edition, which arguably are as good or better than the films themselves. Because they use all of the music, which is great. And then it's just Lord of the Rings talk for like 30 hours. So
yeah, I've heard those. I've never sat down and watched the special features on stuff, but I've heard it's it's pretty intense how much stuff is on there.
yeah, it was definitely worth going through. And that's when I first, you hear, like, I see it there and then I go and look up more about it, like all the languages and stuff, like, and how he basically made the languages and then wrote the story around that. Like,
Yeah, that's just like, I don't know. There's like a lot of stuff with looking into, like, just the idea of, I'm gonna write this. I want to develop this language. So the way I'm gonna do that is by coming up with a fake world and then telling a story in that fake world as a way of like conveying this language. That's a real like scholarly idea of around that time. Like there's this book by Kepler called Kepler's Somnium, which is his book on lunar astronomy. It's about how astronomy works when you're looking at it from the moon. but his framing device for it is like, okay, I had a dream where I was reading a book where this kid like dropped his mother's groceries, so she sold him to off to like pirates, who then he got trained by someone who was knew about these people who lived on the moon, and then through that he learned how those people saw the sky from the moon.
Yeah, no, that like that
Like,
is a that's a
just like-
concept that sounds appealing. I mean, absurdity of this framing of
Yeah, it's just like
I read a book in a dream.
yes,
Like, that's-
it's just like nested framing
That aside,
devices that's leading to these people who live on the moon.
Yeah,
Just like that's a scholars are weird. They come up with weird justifications for the thing they're actually interested in.
and I don't know. I enjoy all the languages aspect, and I also I guess I enjoy it like for the dwarven language where I think it comes up in Lord of the Rings. That they don't, maybe not in the film, but I think in the books it does. It comes up briefly how they don't really share their language at all. Like the only things people know are their names and their like a couple of their cities, obviously, and then their war chant or their battle cry or something. And past that, like they don't share their language with outsiders. And it's cool to me that he, like, it's Tolkien, like he 100% had a full language written out and probably translated. You know, I think the go-to thing is still like the Lord's Prayer and a couple other key passages from the Bible or other notable works, but you know, he didn't share that. Or like with the Ents, like the Entwives. I forget if he wrote I think there was a piece by him like in a letter or something or an interview or something to that effect where he just said like I don't know where they went. I don't know what happened to them. And I just enjoy that kind of, you know, there are some things that he just outright didn't show us, and it's tantalizing. In contrast to, like, I don't know, J.K. Rowling. The Entwives were hobbits. It's a J.K.
Nope.
Rowling plan.
It's a weird. That's weird.
I don't know.
Think then maybe Treebeard would have known what a hobbit was beforehand.
No, because they didn't see them they didn't see that transition. They were looking in the wrong spots. Also, Ents
like-
are gay now.
Like they were looking the wrong way when Saruman escaped.
It happens, man. Don't fucking.
It's like-
listen. I won't have a word said against the Ents.
I was rereading a little bit. I'm like the thing that struck me super ways. Wait a minute. Treebeard promised the Ents would make sure Saruman wouldn't leave. The fuck? You guys dropped the ball real bad on that one, guy. Come on. What were you doing?
He's a
you have somewhere to
powerful
go?
wizard, you ass.
Did you have to take a pee? He didn't have any power left. His staff was broken.
He's still intelligent. He's still smart.
Fucking watch the door. That's all you had to do.
Look, you don't get the title of the White without knowing a thing or two, okay? Guy had ways.
He just held a couple branches out and was like, I'm a tree.
I swear
Bush,
to fucking God.
Bush, bush, bush. I'm a bush. Bush, bush,
shuffle.
bush. They fucked up, man. They fucked up.
Yeah.
Hobbit's got to have some words with those Ents.
I
Have
mean,
to have
do you agree
words.
more with how Saruman dies in the films?
No, that
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
And now we have a perfect
Well,
segue.
he doesn't.
into-
Technically, he doesn't die in the theatrical versions. They just lock him in there, and that's it.
Do
never
they?
see him
I've
again.
never actually seen the theatrical
Yeah,
releases.
they don't put his death scene isn't in the theatrical releases. It's just they just drop it. Never comes back.
Okay.
That scene where he falls is only in
also-
the extended.
I mean, it's
And
also like both of those are
bitches.
bad.
Yeah,
they're
like
both
the other
terrible.
thing, you never even get Gandalf talking to him. They just lock him in there, and he's like, nope, and he was never seen again. Yeah.
Right. And that's where he died, probably. Maybe.
It's like
Who knows?
it was one of the most frustrating things about watching those movies theatrically. It's just like, what happened to him? He just,
Yeah.
you're not going to resolve that?
But in the books.
In the books, you get the Scouring of the Shire, which I think is like the best, most important part of Lord of the Rings.
It is,
in my opinion.
I think it is definitely the most. It's the part of the book where you can find the most allegory. Like, it's strongest at that point. And as much as he claimed to dislike it, I think even Tolkien said at one point, or hinted, that it was like, yeah, this was a thing.
I mean, it's just the you can't go home again thing.
Yeah.
And with the movies, you only get the part of it where you're of like a soldier coming home and he's irreparably changed and like he just can't deal with the world anymore. The Scouring of the Shire, you need to like show that like, no, having like your best men leave the city means your home is probably going to turn into shit and people are going to exploit it.
Mm.
Like,
well, and just
that part of it, that idea of like, time doesn't stop. Your home doesn't just like freeze while you go off and have an adventure.
Well, and the whole, like, again with Tolkien's experience in World War I and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think anyone anywhere in Europe coming home, shit's not going to be like you left it. Like,
no,
totally. Yeah, well, since I watched the movies first, that scene was particularly strong for me. That and actually, like, Tom Bombadil, but we could talk about him later. The second time around, the first time around, we're gonna pretend didn't happen. But
the other reason I like it, just for personal thing, is what I like about story structure. A lot of times is just I want to get to the point of the thing. Like, we're going to go destroy the ring. Okay, fucking get there. Fucking do it. But then I want to see the next thing. I want to see, like, yeah, but then what happens?
yeah.
Like, I like the idea of, like, completing your idea and then having to see what you do next. I like the and next thing. Like, in theory, the webcomic Penny Arcade, the way they structure it is the punchline's supposed to come in the middle panel, and then the third panel is just something else. Like, that idea is just something I find really compelling about stories. And it's why Super Mario Land 2, The Six Golden Coins, is one of the best Mario stories, because it's about coming home. Because it's about how first Super Mario Land was all a ruse and a trap to get Mario out of the way so that Wario could take over his homeland while he fought in a foreign war. That is the plot of Super Mario Land 2. It's great.
I think that's one of the few Mario games I might have beaten, but I can't recall it at all.
I mean, the only ways to know is the final boss of Super Mario Land 1 is a level boss in 2, and you have to read the manual because it's only in there because it's
okay.
a
So
fucking Game Boy game.
That would explain why I did not. Yeah.
It's a Game Boy game. How much? What are you gonna tell from playing it? Honestly,
Yeah.
It's a Mario game. You're jumping. But that was it. Like, the whole Daisy was kidnapped only as a ruse so that Wario could take over Mario's castle while he was out. Is what they retcon the plot of the first game to be. It's pretty great. It's one of my favorite. Like, man, why don't sequels do this kind of shit more often and like recontextualize the plot of the first game? God damn it. Put a little effort in. Nintendo or anyone. That's why I'm particularly burned that mainline Nintendo just does the Bowser thing over and over again. Because I grew up with the Game Boy games where they were like, they did a little thing. They did a thing. Bah.
Getting back
But
to
yeah, what's
Lord
your
of the Rings.
favorite part of the books in terms of like which of the books is your favorite? Which part of the books is your favorite?
Um, I think. Well, I mentioned my favorite moment already. My favorite little bit. I think
Yeah.
my overall like scene occurrence thing. It might be Tom Bombadil. Like that scene, that that section.
Really?
I think it'd be between that and the Ents, like their whole
Mhm.
like getting them together, and then the siege on Isengard.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, other than the Scouring of the Shire, it's real Two Towers is my favorite of the three main books, for sure.
Actually, it's one book. Fucking peasant over here
I mean,
reading his
they're
3 novels. Hey everyone!
look, there are parts of Lord of the Rings, and then there are like each of those books is like two parts too. So it's structured. It's broken up.
I disagree with how it's broken up, though. Is the thing.
Why?
It creates some pacing issues and weird endings, and then people complain about weird endings for like Two Towers. Maybe Two Towers. Or
Two
Fellowship.
Towers,
I
it's
forget
pretty
which one.
simple. It's the people over here, like the rest of the Fellowship, is doing this, and they take down Saruman, and then the second half is Sam and Frodo, and they're part of the story. They're just separate, and then in the movie they put them together because that works better for the pacing of a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But for a book, like just fucking tell the story linearly and then cut to the other part. That's
I
that's
just
simple standard book structure. It's
I've
not
just
fucking
seen
complicated.
I've actually seen a couple people. This was fairly recently. Complaining about how I think Fellowship and Two Towers end. I can't remember what their exact complaints were, but just it felt weird or abrupt or something, and then just pacing issues with Fellowship because they're like, oh, like 4/5 of the book, kind of nothing happens, but it kind of does, and then just when they're getting to the meaty part, the book ends.
I mean, that's just a problem with the Fellowship. Like it's a lot of meetings and talking about
Yeah,
stuff.
but I don't know. Reading it as a re- I don't know. Reading it as a single novel really changes that because you don't really. It doesn't feel like a pacing issue. It's like, oh, okay, well, it's the first tiny chunk of this big book. I don't know. It made a difference to me.
I mean, it's one story. Like I don't really care how people are going to talk about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like I want to if I'm going to carry it. It's like, oh, I have War and Peace in 3 volumes cuz that's easier to carry. Like, okay, whatever. Or
But
you
I
can have it
I
as
think
one book.
I think the issue just stems from. I
People
mean,
are
some
idiots. That's what it stems from.
yeah, like they might not realize that it's a single thing, literally divided into 3 books. It's not a trilogy, and then they expect different. They expect something different.
It ends on cliffhangers. Wow, how fucking insane!
Hey,
I like every fucking serialized thing does. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get why
I
people
don't
would be
know, dude.
confused.
I don't know
It's
why they're
just
upset. I'm just reporting.
well, I'm
Like I
just
don't
telling
know.
you,
I
people are
don't know why they're
dumb, and you
expecting
don't need to
different things.
justify their dumbness. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Fuck them. I mean, the big thing to me about Lord of the Rings compared to The Hobbit is so much more happens in The Hobbit. So much more happens, and it's much shorter. It's much more stuff is happening. Really, like that's one of the things I like about the Scouring of the Shire is it's one chapter in that book. It's not like 2 chapters. It's one chapter. Like it's kind of a full
Yeah.
story, but it's pretty condensed. And there are parts of Lord of the Rings that's just like, yeah, they're walking for a really long time. Sure are. Traveling.
See, I'm like, I don't know. I'm okay with that. And I think, honestly, I think it stems from, okay, so there's
I
the
think I
whole,
wish they talked about food more often, but
all right, so you're going to want to pick up the novel Sunshine by Robin McKinley. It is a vampire story.
nope.
Traditional
I'm
vampires.
out.
No, 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 no. Hear
I'm
me out.
out. Nope.
Traditional
I'm
vampires.
out. I'm
Almost
out on
everything in the
vampires.
novel is presented in the form of a food analogy, particularly cinnamon rolls.
That sounds terrible. It
It
sounds
it was,
really
you
bad.
know,
It sounds really bad.
when a character is trapped like in a dungeon sort of setting or an abandoned mansion or whatever, and they're shackled to the wall, they're given a little food and water. I didn't ask for an analyzation of the bread they're eating, and I didn't want one.
No,
I
that's
don't
not what I want.
care. I don't care that
It's
there's too much
definitely-
flour in it.
That's definitely
But
not what I wanted.
But that is now knowledge that I have.
What I want is
There's
Digimon.
too much flour.
I
Oh,
want characters
God
talking
damn it.
about food and being hungry. Is what I want. Not
Oh yeah, the
not
hungry
this
thing
bullshit.
again. Yeah.
Or I want Avatar.
I was gonna say
The other thing
something.
that
Right.
that really stood out to me the first time, and it was really more in Two Towers, is like Gimli and Legolas's competition over who's killed the most orcs.
Oh yep.
That was just like an idea that I hadn't really seen in a book of these characters who were like competing over kills in this petty contest.
Yeah.
And I
just,
always
like,
rooted for Gimli just because I root for the underdogs who's never gonna win. Just like, God, I wish Gimli could kill more orcs this one fucking time. Fuck you, Legolas. Fuck you.
Yeah. That's a good little bit throughout the thing. I really like how they implemented it in the movie too. Had a good tone to it. Captured the
And it's even more frustrating there because Legolas is such a fucking CGI superhero and Gimli is such a comic relief character,
yeah.
not really able to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
It's kind of a
not
bummer.
wrong.
It's kind of a bummer how much of a joke he is in those movies.
I'm actually, this is so recently, as I think I've maybe mentioned. I know I've mentioned it off podcast. I don't know if I mentioned it in one. I had been going through Norse mythology,
Yeah.
some collections, and it's actually really interesting because Tolkien studied all of that shit and Beowulf and everything like extensively.
Yeah.
I just was thinking of the scene where Gimli is like one of the characters. I think I forget if it's in the book. I know it's in the film. Someone says something about having never seen a dwarven woman, and Gimli says something about how you can't you couldn't tell them apart because of their beards or something, or like you can't. I forget if it was present or past tense, and just like. Oh, in Norse mythology, there's a thing where they make a special magical item, and they have to take like the footsteps of a cat and like the beard of women and stuff. So things like that are interesting. Also, the fact that I think 100% of the dwarves in The Hobbit have their names taken from dwarves in Norse mythology, as well as Gimli and Gandalf are like. I thought they were influenced, but they're like directly lifted. So, I don't know. It's not that it necessarily affects the reading a ton, but it's just interesting where you can see the references and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm sure just like the sound or something.
I mean, Bomber. Who doesn't, That's the big one, right? The one that was always eating cakes and stuff.
I don't remember. I don't.
I still have images of the Hobbit film in my head that I can't get out.
Yeah, I found that those movies unwatchable.
What a terrible fucking mess.
I actually started watching the first Hobbit movie on TV once, and like instantly was like, this just looks terrible.
Yep.
Like, the fucking blue screen background just looks bad. What the fuck? This is awful.
They took
Turned it off
literally
immediately.
everything about the Lord of the Rings films that made them great and said, fuck it.
Don't understand. What happened, Peter Jackson? What happened?
We can use perspective to make the hobbits actually look short. You know, we have some child actors, we have some midget actors, we got perspective shifts. How are we going to do that in the Hobbit? Fuck it, bust out the green screen. Hey Gandalf, act like there's 12 dwarves around you, even though you're alone in an empty room.
Whoa! Oh, I'm haunted by short people.
Now pretend you're eating a cake. Can't you just give me a real pastry? No, it's CGI. We can't afford that. But don't you have to pay someone to animate the cake? No, they're subhuman. Just pretend.
We have actual hobbits animating this. It's fine.
Yeah. So
the other thing that just annoys me about cutting the Scouring of the Shire is that that's the time when you're like, oh right, these hobbits are like gone through war and they're like top of the food chain now. They're like incredibly badass. You never get anything close to that in the movies. They're always kind of a joke.
Yep. Yeah, I guess I understand. You know, I love this scene now with Tom Bombadil, but I more or less understand why they took it out of the films, because overall it doesn't really contribute. It's just one of those moments that I like. It's like, yeah, he's probably one of the most powerful things in Middle-earth as long as he's in his forest. But, you know, this ring is kind of a piece of shit to him, so he'd lose it because it's worthless. Like,
yeah, that's so much more a novel thing.
Yeah,
I don't think there's room for that in a movie.
Yeah, and that's understandable, but the Scouring of the Shire, like, that's an important thing that happened. Like,
it's not like those movies are short.
Where yeah, like you're already rolling a 4.5-hour movie. Fuck, tack on like another 30 minutes or 45.
Just cut out the scene where they all jump around in bed.
Oh my god,
I don't need that one.
Scene, Jesus.
I don't need that one. That one's not important. That one's not important. Cut that.
That is a. That was,
Nope. It's done.
Easy there, Titus.
Ha 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 ha.
Ugh. The one scene from the movies that I actually do like, and I like it enough that I wish it was in the book, although maybe it wouldn't work as well in the book, is the you bow to no one. It's pretty damn corny, but I don't know. Usually by the time I get to that point in the trilogy, I'm thoroughly emotional. Like seeing those ents.
I'm really at like, why is this movie ending 20 times and they're not going to do the Scouring of the Shire? I'm like totally in that mode. It's like every scene that's
because
like
you're
that you could cut.
You're the cynical old angry person.
It's just
and I'm young and full of hope.
Okay, that's fair. You could have done something else to make them seem cool instead of.
If only there was some sort of fight scene where the hobbits could prove their worth. Huh.
Yeah.
There was also one thing, again, you know, seeing the movies first, that I desperately I saw it, and I was like, there's no fucking way this is in the book. And it 100% is, verbatim, is the bit where, is it Arwen who's fighting the Witch King? And then she's like, I'm no man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I hate that line. I hate that fucking line so much.
It's real bad. It's real
and it's
bad.
right there. It's right there in the text, verbatim.
It's
exactly how it played out.
It's real dumb. It's real dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I hate it in the same way that I hate the line from Serenity where Wash is like, I am a leaf on the wind, watch me soar. It's a fucking terrible line. Stop.
No, that part's okay.
I hate that line. I don't know why.
I mean,
I don't know why. I just
I mean,
do.
it's good because he gets stabbed right after.
He deserved it. Anyone who says that line, that caliber of line, deserves to die.
I mean, that's why he gets to say that line. Just because he's gonna die. If he had just been awesome, he couldn't have gotten away with that line.
He still didn't get away with it.
I mean, he didn't walk away.
He's paying for his sins in hell.
I mean, that guy did die in the next movie I saw him in, so
Good.
continued to pay for it. One of my favorite, I don't remember if it's this way in the book, but Aragorn's speech in Return of the King at the Black Gate is so
not the same.
it's so bad. I fucking love it. It's so not inspirational at all. It's just
I
like,
don't think it's that way in the book.
yeah.
I don't recall
I mean,
it being that way.
There's gonna be a time where everything sucks and like everything's gonna fall apart, but we're gonna fight now, so let's do it. Just like give no actual words of encouragement.
That scene was, I never had really, I don't know, I didn't really feel anything about that scene until I saw the video of some kid giving the same speech in a college classroom before like a final exam. And he's met with absolute dead fucking silence. And then just sits back down. And I'm like, you know what? I think everything's ruined now. Like,
It's not an inspiring speech.
It really isn't.
It's impressively bad. Like, even in the movie, the characters are like, is that all we're getting? Really? All right. Go.
Hey, let me fight, though.
Let me fight, though. It's better because that fight doesn't really matter.
It matters.
I mean, it matters
really
that they draw
expensive
attention.
distraction.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, as they figure, like, if Frodo fucks up, then I mean, we might as well.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's fair. That's the other big thing, like, the big thing watching the movies is just like Frodo feels so much less important because in the book you're getting all that narration of like the inner struggle he's going through. So like Frodo really seemed like the main character in the books, and then in the movie it's no, this is about Sam like carrying him.
It doesn't.
Like, Frodo is fucking nothing. They don't convey it at all.
Ring turning Frodo like into a kind of confused inner chaos sort of person doesn't translate well to Elijah Wood emulates emo Peter Parker. Acts like a little bitch.
Look, emo Peter Parker had more concrete goals. He was gonna dance with that girl. He was gonna have dumb hair.
It's such a great scene. Just a top-tier cinema moment.
Yeah, I don't hate it as much as other people hate it because, like, yeah, that's
it's
Peter
ridiculous.
Parker. That's that Peter Parker's dumb idea about what it being cool would be like. He's a fucking dweeb. Like, come on.
I do dislike how all of the hobbits in the films look super fucking young. Like, Merry and Pippin, sure-ish, but Frodo was like 50-something.
I mean, they've again, it's fantasy, so it's hard to. Their ages are different too, but they're
different.
They should have been. Again, that's movifying them. They're definitely younger people.
Still just.
And also they never feel as transformed by the war as they are in the books at all.
No, like, and again, like that final scene where, or the final, yeah, I guess scene, scenario, whatever,
Yeah.
where all of the, the Shire is like, yeah, Pippin, Merry, like, fuck yeah, you guys are awesome, and all the hobbits are like, actually, like, Frodo. That sort of, I don't know, that weird, again, like the coming home, and then nobody, like, none of the other hobbits are going to understand what the fuck happened on that journey, ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's sort of, I don't know, with the films, I feel like you definitely have to place yourself more, you have to really just kind of, not suspension of disbelief, I don't know what the term I'm looking for here is, if there is one. You really have to throw yourself into that universe. Like, you have to believe that the ring is really affecting Frodo and that it's not just a piece of jewelry.
Yeah.
Because they don't portray it well, as we said.
They don't convey it particularly well at all. At all. He gets his fingers bitten off, though.
Does he in the films?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah, because yep. It's been a while since I've gone through the movies, actually.
It's been a while for me, too. I just remember them.
Yeah.
Well, and I've watched, like, Cinema Sins videos on them.
Sure.
And stuff, so.
Dude, one thing that I don't think CinemaSins mentions it. I hope he doesn't. But when people are like, why didn't they just fly?
Oh, yeah, they definitely bring that up.
It's
Eagles.
Such a fucking low brow, like, not low brow, it's just a low blow. Like, I don't know, it's such a shitty.
Look, they convey that in the movie very poorly. The way the Eagles show up in that movie is very bad. That's why that happens. It's because in the movie, the Eagles are horseshit. They just are. As, like, in terms of movie telling language, it's just like, and suddenly there are these eagles. It's just bad.
I guess of the films.
Yeah. It's real bad. That's where that comes from.
I've known one girl who was a friend for a brief period of time. Proclaimed to be, like, self-proclaimed biggest Lord of the Rings fan ever. Like, legitimately would call herself that, and, like, got a tattoo of the,
of Gandalf, and then found out he was gay and was real pissed.
I forget what all she has. She has the tree, like the tree of Gondor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, not the tree in the Shire? Okay. I see how it is.
I forget. She might have one of, like, the ring, and then I feel like maybe something else, but I forget.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all this other stuff, has never read the books.
Mm-hmm.
And when she had first mentioned this to me, I kind of, I wasn't being too mean, because at the time we were still friends. I was like, I mean, why haven't you? Like, you keep saying you're the biggest fan. Like, why haven't you read the books? I don't read. Like, fuck's sake.
Do an audiobook. Like, even if you don't read, if you're the biggest Lord of the Rings fan, listen to an audiobook.
This was before the Hobbit film, so she also hadn't ever read the Hobbit. Like, I don't know. That just, and it just sucks, because I feel at the same time, I feel like I'm gatekeeping, and I kind of hate doing that, unless I'm joking. But fucking seriously, like, #1 Lord of the Rings fan, haven't read books. Those are two very contrasting things.
Just an interesting that, like, she would be that into, just that the person would be that into conveying that they're the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. Like, that was their thing.
Yeah.
And just,
and she, like I mean,
you gotta
as
be
far
biggest.
as
Can't
far
just
as
be
I
a
know,
big one.
as far
Big
as I
fan
know,
of
she's
movies?
still like cosplays as Frodo and stuff, and like has a replica of Sting and all this other stuff. But
I mean, that's fine.
just
Like,
no,
enjoy the fandom as you want. I don't
no,
understand.
not as you want. No, read the
Okay,
goddamn books.
maybe
Ugh.
I don't know. Whatever. If people don't want to read the books, they don't want to read the books. But
It
like,
wasn't. It wasn't even that she hadn't read them. It was that after
that
I
she doesn't
inquired,
read.
she
Probably
had,
read.
No,
Probably
not even,
read.
not even that, but that she had no desire at all to try reading them. If you like a piece of media that much, how do you still have no desire to like read the
know.
source
If, like,
material?
Again, if what you like is the movies, I can get not wanting to read a book about it. The book that
I
it's based
mean,
on. I don't know.
I don't think
I love Edge of Tomorrow. I'm not gonna. I haven't read the light novel it's based on. I don't know.
you know. Yeah, I in 100%.
But I'm not gonna say I'm the
seriousness-
biggest fan of that thing. Also,
In 100% seriousness, I don't think it is a stretch to say that I've used too many negatives now. I got to figure this out. She would probably not turn down a threesome with herself, Aragorn, and Frodo.
yeah. So she wants to fuck the actors. That's
Yeah.
okay. Fair enough.
So,
If that's how
you
she
know,
enjoys
one
it,
more,
that's
one more reason why they should have used like a middle-aged man to play Frodo. Like then you don't have
Well,
fuck
I
girls
mean-
coming out of the woodwork,
that sounds less marketable to me.
or like Whore of the Rings.
That's just rude. You're just being rude.
I mean, she
To
also
a person
had a
who
lot.
was your friend.
She was also very rude and had enough emotional baggage to sink the Titanic. So
I mean, okay. I guess I'll take your word for it because I have no other word to go by.
I could get my friend on the line. He will vouch for me.
I don't know that I trust your friends. Given
I mean,
that you say
he is
your
also-
friend is a person who says they're the biggest Lord of the
He is-
Rings fan,
he is
but
also-
doesn't like to read. Or doesn't read.
Okay, former friend. It was brief. Was during my
The time when you had
Facebook-
bad friends, I'm pretty sure you still
That-
have bad friends.
that one summer when I adminned a Facebook group.
Weird. That
Yeah.
sounds like a mistake.
It was weird. I don't regret it because I learned a lot, but it was definitely a weird summer.
It's fair.
The dark times.
I mean, Facebook is the darkest times. That's true.
It really is. It's
There's
absolute
nothing,
shit.
there's nothing left to scour.
So, I actually, speaking of shit, don't know whether it will be or not, but I think, is it Amazon that has the TV series for Lord of the Rings? They got the bid
Yeah,
for it or whatever?
Yeah, I think they're gonna start like a bunch of TV shows because they want
Like in general
Really,
or on
they-
Middle Earth?
I think just Middle Earth stories. Like they want to be in the Game of Thrones business the way HBO is. So like the way HBO is starting a bunch of Game of Thrones spin-off things. I think that's
Sure.
Amazon's plan too.
That's gross. I don't know how they're gonna do that though, because I'm
go-
pretty
they'll
sure
like-
Tolkien's
They'll probably be
estate-
they'll be as respectful as the Shadow of Mordor.
I guess. So like, so you're saying they're probably going to take it in a non-canonical way?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying this giant spider is going to be a sexy lady. Is what I'm saying.
Fuck, it's Monster Masume.
Um,
Dreams do come
no,
true.
they'll probably go like, yeah, it'll be Breaking Bad, but Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, like make it super dark and edgy, and
it'll be Walking Dead, but Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I really don't know.
I guess I'd assumed. I don't even know what I assumed. Because, like Tolkien, Christopher Tolkien, and then his estate or whatever, like, yeah, you guys aren't doing any more of this shit. We saw the Hobbit films. Stop. But I guess I didn't know if they had somehow agreed to let them use some of the manuscripts, or if they're just retelling the Lord of the Rings novel,
I mean,
or if it's non. I don't know. I am not looking super forward to it.
mm-hmm.
I own Shadow of Mordor, but I have yet to play it, partially because I just love that world so much that
But it has Gollum fan service, Ben.
All right, so going to Steam library. We let's see. Let's scroll up here. Action adventure. Uninstall. And set categories. Hide this game from my library. What Shadow?
Also,
Where's
also
Mordor?
that spider is a sexy lady in the new one.
What? Oh, wait. Like, in the new Shadow of Mordor game, they legitimately made main spider a chick.
Yep, they made her a sexy lady.
Ugh.
I forget how to pronounce her name.
Shelob?
Yeah, Shelob.
Shelob.
Yeah. Yes, they made her a sexy lady, and she's in the story.
Okay. That's so fucking terrible and wrong in so many ways.
That's the zero respect for the source material kind of move you can expect for Lord of the Rings things in the future, I assume.
Yeah, dude.
Given that happened. Because that's pretty fucking bad. Like,
if I was Christopher Tolkien or Tolkien's estate or whoever is managing rights for that, as soon as that shit went down, it would have been like, yeah, no one's touching this ever again. Ever.
Yeah, but what if you had $250 million, though?
It doesn't matter.
Apparently, that was enough. Because that's Amazon. Amazon paid $250 million for the rights.
Did they? Like,
yeah.
Rights to... Does it say rights to what?
To Lord of the Rings. To make it from the rights to the books.
Just Lord of the Rings? Or, like...
I think just Lord of the Rings? I'm not sure. Again. I wasn't super deep on remembering this, other than that it's a thing that happened.
Mm-hmm. This got real depressing.
I mean, it can't be worse than the Hobbit movies. It can only be at least as bad.
I don't know, dude.
I mean,
getting away from the from like the Middle Earth canon is pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, but once you get away from it, then like, why do you care anyway?
Because I care. Because
then it's just alternate universes.
Oh fuck. Oh no.
It's perfect.
No.
It's perfect. You have the canon of the books, you have the canon of the movies, you have the canon of the TV show, and then they can have the multi-universe crossover where all the Frodos meet. Because all the Saurons crossed universes to work together to crush that pesky hobbit in a Saturday morning cartoon show. It'll be great.
I just threw up in my mouth. Have you ever seen Clerks or Clerks 2 where they have the Lord of the Ring thing? Yeah, that's me right now. I'm the one throwing up. Like, if we were in that film and you just said that to me.
You didn't actually run out of the podcast, though. If you had run, it's not the same unless you had actually left to throw up.
I debated it, but I didn't know where to throw my headphones. Like, there's no good spot.
Ugh. I don't know. That sounds great.
And then Frodo bricked in Frodo's mouth.
It's basically what the Ninja Turtles cartoons have done, that this kind of thing, specifically.
I don't know. That fall in this is not a. I mean, it's a topic that we could probably do a podcast on in and of itself, but I guess it's approaching that territory of like you did 3 super good movies and then you did 1 movie in 3 films for some reason and it was terrible, but whatever. Call it good enough and just let it be. I'm so goddamn sick of
Capitalism.
Prequels, sequels, remakes, and reboots need to stop.
Never.
They need to stop. Yes.
Oh. I mean, they're never going to stop, because that's not how stories have been told throughout history. Throughout human history, it's all about retelling stories over and over again. The idea of telling a story once is like a not that old idea that kind of just came around and is going out of style.
Retelling a story once is fine. But, like, I don't need Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Iron Man 4, or,
I mean,
the 800th implementation of
look,
Spider-Man.
I don't want another... It depends if it's good or not. That's what all I care about is if it's good or not. If it's fucking tired and bad, like a new Pirates of the Caribbean movie, then I don't want that. I don't care. Frankly, I mean, I just don't care more than anything about that. But
Yeah.
it's like you're gonna come up with a new version of Spider-Man and it's better than the other versions of Spider-Man, the other better movie versions, then I'm totally in. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll see that story done better, more modern. Like,
My thing isn't
keep it going.
necessarily, like, I'm not against it as a total concept. I'm just against it. Just feels like it's happening a lot right now. And, like, with Lord of the Rings in particular, I feel like it's still not been long enough. Like, those movies aren't exceedingly old. Like, revisited in another couple of decades yet. Or, like, a couple centuries, you know, whatever we're feeling like. Or just never.
I mean, I don't want TV just because I'm done with TV. I don't need like
That's
3,
totally fair.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't need like
that's-
7 seasons
That's
of
also
Lord of the
definitely-
Rings.
Oh, yeah. No, and it's going to be 7 seasons, or they're going to try.
Like, but if someone had like a vision for making new Lord of the Rings movies, and like I can conceive of someone doing a better job than Peter Jackson did. I can conceive of that. Like, getting some of the things I didn't like, great. I don't think that would happen. They would probably do it worse. I don't know. But, like, I can at least, like, on principle, I can at least imagine that happening.
yeah.
But,
Yeah, the
I
fact that it's a
I
TV
don't
show is just
expect
extra
that or
bad.
anything.
I also do think back, I forget, I couldn't tell you what season, episode, or anything that even happened in the episode aside from this. There's like a little background bit on The Simpsons, and they're like back in time, walking through like a college campus or something, and the comic book guy is like, and that is why The Lord of the Rings could never be turned into a film successfully.
Uh-huh.
Like right after, like, you don't hear what he said before, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think about that now, and I kind of agree with it.
I mean, it's just adaptation. It's kind of a different thing. Like the Watchmen movie. I think Watchmen as a comic, like, the best parts about it are structural and specific to comic books. But, like, whatever, you can make a movie out of it. It's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
You need the edgy, what's his name?
Rorschach?
Sure. Yeah. He was like... Yeah, that was before Dark Knight.
The problem
right?
with the movie is Night Owl isn't fat enough. He's supposed to be fat. He's, like, ripped in the movie. It's unrealistic.
But Rorschach, though. Radshack. Whatever.
Rorschach. A
Radio.
Rorschach test is an actual
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It
I
shouldn't
know,
be
but it-
like a mystery.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so Radio Shack is like this edgy character, and it drew edgy kids to dress up as this character. I feel like that was the precursor to the Joker for those people, you know?
No.
those people,
No.
those same people, though, people who dress up as
No.
one of those characters would dress up as both of those characters. And nothing he says is important except for the part where he's all like, and they'll be all, save me, and I'll look down and whisper, no.
Have you seen the redraw of that page of the comic where Rorschach has been replaced by Garfield? It's pretty good.
I've not seen anything or read anything of Watchmen, though I own the I guess comic graphic novel. I don't know what the proper term is for something.
It's a good comic. It's hard to get the full context of it if you don't know a lot of stuff about comics.
Yeah,
It's easy
we've
to
discussed
miss a bunch
that.
of stuff. But it's it's well made. The layouts are like the thing. The art and the layouts to me are the big thing.
Actually, this is the arts and layouts. One thing I do kind of enjoy, and might be more of a thing in the future when I have disposable income, is different editions of Lord of the Rings, like of the book. In particular, with me learning Russian and stuff, there's a edition of the book for the Russian translation that has like medieval Slavic images, like illustrations. Looks so nice. Totally different vibe to it with those images,
for sure.
but it's just super interesting.
Yeah, I really like the cover illustrations on the editions I have. I put it on the Salt Circle Twitter. I posted an image of the books.
Okay,
It's not a great.
I have a
nice. They have a good vibe to them. They kind of look like magic cards. Honestly,
I have the
cold emptiness.
I think I have the 50th anniversary. Yeah, the 50th anniversary edition. Like nice gilded pages.
Yeah.
All those appendixes that I sometimes start reading and then don't actually get into the book.
Yeah, the other thing I always loved
happens.
about I love a good map. So I loved staring at the map.
Yeah,
So Lord of the Rings.
map is super solid.
Maps are good. In general, just on
Oh,
principle,
yeah.
maps are good.
And yeah, I think the first book where I encountered a good map, well, a map, I suppose, was Aragon. Which, interestingly, it's one of those things that I loved when I was growing up, and then didn't really think about it ever, and then suddenly saw people like kind of trash talking it. And by the time that happened, I didn't really feel strongly, so I was just kind of wondering why. And they pointed out that the entire first book, like Aragon, basically is just Lord of the Rings with different names, slightly different events, but like a lot of the names are one for one, and like it's just all the same shit except bad. And I'm like, I can't actually argue this. Like, you're not incorrect. He took it different ways with the sequels, but still, that first book is pretty. I'm sorry. You've read Lord of the Rings, right? Yeah. And you decided to name the place in your book Eisenstar. Really? Okay. Like, just a lot
Different.
of.
They're not orcs. They're space orcs.
I'm sorry. Who did you say you're? Arwen. Did you like her as a character? Yeah, that's Arya, Arwen, Aryan, Arwen. Just a lot of that.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I see.
So
it's you're saying the writer's a hack.
I mean, he was not that he's a hack. I mean, he was like what 16 when he wrote Aragon.
So he's a hack. Gotcha.
He just didn't know how to plagiarize well. He didn't know how to steal something and make it his own. Good map, though. Real nice looking map.
That's cool.
He had a desert. Lord of the Rings didn't have a desert.
I mean, no, but
Yeah, no, there's not a desert.
they talk about the
I was
Shire
waiting to-
becoming a desert.
I was waiting to hear you, like, your rebuttal. No, there's just not a desert.
The
Yeah.
rebuttal was like,
I mean,
Shire's like on its way. It's being fucked up, but that's about it. That's all I got. They
yeah.
mentioned the word desert in regards to the Shire at the end
I
because of
think
how fucked up it's getting.
they might talk about it in regards to what are they from the men from the north? No, from the west, north. The Oliphants and the
Yeah, the Middle Easterns.
dark-skinned people that happened coincidentally to be the bad guys. Look, coincidence.
It's not coincidence,
It's
man.
definitely
He
coincidence.
definitely didn't like the idea of his stuff being tied allegorically, but he definitely played into bad tropes
It was the
in term way
50s.
he
Everybody.
felt it. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I'm just saying you have to recognize it because all of fantasy is built on that stuff.
I recognize
So
it
you
and
have
also
to,
don't.
you have to people and more people who write fantasy based on that stuff have to recognize it and realize like, oh right, this is this way because of
Maybe
this.
maybe we shouldn't do this bit.
Oh, we should probably do that a little differently. Maybe give those guys some character or something, and not just make them weird, evil brown
Savages, yeah.
people. Yeah, or even noble savages. Maybe it's not so good either. The noble
Nah,
savage.
fuck it. Dive headfirst into stereotypes. Let's do this.
Dwarves are clearly Jews. Let's go
Oh,
for it.
no. God damn it. Dwarves are fucking dwarves. It's pulled right from Norse mythology.
Well, yeah, it's Norse mythology put on top of Jews.
You need to stop.
Two great
It's
tastes
really
go great together.
you really need to not though.
I mean, I didn't come up with it. It's there.
Ugh.
It's there for the taking, for the grasping.
One thing I actually do like, and I don't know if this is where we get the term or if he just applied it and then chose not to, but there's like the 3 variations of elves.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget what they're all called because, it's like 1 letter difference or some bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I read through all of, or not all, but a lot of the extended manuscripts and stuff. That doesn't mean I retained much of it because it all reads like the Old Testament.
That stuff shouldn't have been released. I don't think that stuff should be out there.
That's another thing. Like I partially agree because if if I was J.R.R. Tolkien, I wouldn't want shit released when I said not to release it. But at the same time, I enjoy reading it, so we're in a bit of a weird spot. But anyway, one of the varieties of elves was originally called gnome, like GNOME, and
That'd make fantasy hard.
yeah, I was like, did this come before or after like the tiny little like garden gnome variety of gnomes? I don't know. I just thought it was amusing.
Things should be named different things. Things shouldn't sound the same. Honestly, the thing in my life that reminded me of my Saruman confusion was when I played Final Fantasy 13. They were talking all about Falsi and Lissi. It's just like it's just these two words referring to different things. They're just a little too close to each other, and it's like I'm not hearing English. You just calm down and stop saying both of these things a lot right next to each other.
I mean, not some, a lot of the extended stuff for Middle Earth, it has, instead of similar names for different people, it has a shitload of names for the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Like Morgoth, Melkor, Melko, and I think there's a couple others that are used extensively. All
Like
in
they're-
like the
like-
same.
Like they're pro wrestlers. And they have lots of monikers.
Yeah. Or even especially there was I guess a Slavic mythology based fantasy book I read recently. It's like the first in a trilogy. And it wasn't terrible with it, but in some stuff where Russia is a setting or Russian characters, their names get weird, dude. Like Sasha is a nickname for people called Alexander. And then there's like a shitload of different endings and all this other stuff, and it's like, yeah, this person has like 32 different names depending on who's speaking to them, but whatever. Just roll with it.
My favorite instance of a character not being called by their name is in the Humphrey Bogart Lauren Bacall movie To Have and Have Not, where Humphrey Bogart's character is named Harry, I think, but Lauren Bacall just calls him Steve the whole movie. Because that was a thing. I think it was with the director and his wife. She would just call him Steve.
Just call him Steve. Oh,
And,
okay.
he would call her
I guess.
Slim. It was just like an actual thing they ripped and put in the movie, I think. I think it was the director. I'm blanking a little bit, but yeah, that's like my favorite instance of that. Just no explanation, never referenced, just a thing. And I watched that movie multiple times before like realizing it, just because of the way movies work instead of like a book. If that happened in a book, it'd be very confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's... You gotta backtrack sometimes.
Instead, that book is like uses the N-word like a billion times, and it actually drove me kind of crazy. It's a terrible Hemingway book. Yeah. It's nothing. It has like there's like one scene in the movie that's anything like it. It's weird.
So, as we all know, Lord of the Rings was translated from Westernese
Nope.
when
That didn't happen.
when it was recorded down by its writers. And
It happened a
originally,
long time ago.
Frodo's
in a land
real
far,
name-
far away.
Frodo's real name is actually Froda, but it's translated to Frodo to fit more with our idea of masculine names in our English conventions. Huh? Pretty interesting. Those cool
mean,
translations.
I mean, it's not. It's not. Why would it translate? Why would it translate to something it's not if you're translating it?
Because you're making it more accessible for plebs
Yeah.
who only speak English.
Yeah. So
And
why
not
aren't you just
Westernese.
translating it to Frodo?
Yeah,
Oh, whatever.
because it makes more sense to us.
I mean,
Look, if
look,
you say,
look,
if I
look.
say
Harry
Froda-
Potter was actually translated from British into American when I read it. They
Yeah,
changed.
I mean, that makes
the
sense.
Philosopher's Stone
Yeah, I was
to
gonna
the
say, not
Sorcerer's
enough people-
Stone,
not enough
which
people
is
knew what
stupid. That's a bad change.
Yeah, no, that's stupid. That is really dumb.
That's really bad.
And in Russian, as
But
I
also they
mentioned,
changed the
it's
name of, like,
Gary
a-
Potter.
A bunch of like the snack names for no reason.
Wait, what?
I think a bunch of the snacks are just called different things, but I don't remember clearly enough. Because my friend
I'll
had a
have to-
copy of the British version, so I
I'll have to
only
pick up like the
vaguely
British
remember.
version of the books.
Just like weird minor things are different.
Yeah, I mean,
The big thing is that they're like, Americans can't handle the Philosopher's Stone. That has religious implications. Is that's the reason it was changed?
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I never knew that. I had always assumed that it was just because they were like, Americans are too stupid to like figure out what the hell a Philosopher's Stone would be, but when you say Sorcerer's Stone, everyone's like, ooh, wizards.
Yeah, no. I don't know, man. It's real dumb because the Philosopher's Stone is a thing, and the Sorcerer's Stone is not a thing. That is a made up dumb thing. You're
Yeah.
turning an actual object that has historical significance.
Oh, okay. So it was like, so a Philosopher's Stone is an actual thing, and it's referencing
Yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah. The
Also
Philosopher's
did not
Stone
know.
was able to turn lead into gold.
Okay.
It's an alchemy thing.
Maybe I did know that at one point.
Also,
Just was probably glossed over.
that's what they're looking for in Full Metal Alchemist, the anime.
Don't even start with me.
Because it allows you to bypass the rules of alchemy, where you can only, and the physics law that if you have this amount of this thing, it has to be equal to the thing you're turning it into. Like your elements have to be the same. It's simple facts of chemistry.
Yeah, yeah, hard
Anime.
proven facts.
I mean, Full Metal Alchemist is alternate history Europe. Is what it is. Where they have like alchemy as a thing instead of developing the power of flight. At least in the anime.
So they
I don't remember
also...
if that's that thing in the manga, actually, or Brotherhood. I don't know.
Well, I'm never gonna find out. And don't anybody tell me either. I don't care. I don't want to know.
In that one, the allegorical brown people definitely are Jews.
Wow. Wow.
Well, they're persecuted and attempted to be slaughtered, so they're not
Could
evil.
be any number of people.
Although one of them's looking for revenge, so he's morally gray.
Why can only the Jews be a people that has been attempted to be
Well,
slaughtered?
there's also the Jews, and then there's the
What
group that's
about
like the Jews, but
Armenians?
also
What
clearly
about don't tell me. What
some
about
other Muslim group.
Fuck, there's a 50-50 chance here. What about the Tutsis?
There are
forget-
two separate groups of brown people. They're definitely.
I forgot.
One gets wiped out, and then they start targeting the next one for the same thing.
Was it the Hutu or the Tutsis who were on the bad side of that conflict?
I'm not going to tell you.
No, this one's important, though.
Nope.
We're not talking about anime, you ass. We're talking about a real-life occurrence.
I mean, it's basically anime.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Fuck's sake. Did you actually just say in regards to the Rwandan genocide that it's basically just anime?
I might have. I don't actually believe that, but sometimes you got to say things you don't believe.
When I release the sneak peek preview for this episode, it's not gonna matter what you said after. Like, oh, okay. Well,
It was the
blatant.
Tutsi. I got your answer, you piece of shit.
So they were the ones getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was right earlier. You're still a bad person.
I mean, I already knew that. It's fine.
Yeah, but like you're a worse person. You have dipped down slightly, which might be a daily occurrence, but this is when it happened.
When you're
today.
this low, I mean,
You can always go lower.
what's an extra inch though? It's a needle on my haystack, man. Come on.
There was a sexual pun there, and I lost the window for it.
That's what she said.
Yep. Happens. All right. That feels like an episode.
Yeah.
That feels like a Middle Earth chat.
Yup. There was less fighting than I thought there'd be.
Yeah, same. Wait, what points did you think there'd be fighting on?
I don't even know. It just seemed like every time it came up beforehand,
Certain people were
we
trying to
ready
hype up a fight.
I mean, I was. I thought just every time it came up, it felt like it was a point of disagreement previously. But then when we're sitting here to actually talk about it, it's like we're being too rational. It
I
sucks.
suppose.
Bad.
I don't know. Like I'm. Like I love it. Like it's still my favorite fantasy thing, but because of that, I need to rationalize the other side, or I would go insane and hate a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Look, all I'm saying is Lord of the Rings is okay.
all right, you.
It's not the best. It's not the best.
First off, how dare you? Second off, you haven't even read the extended manuscript, so you could just fuck off. Third,
You're right. I haven't. I
you're
shouldn't
the
have
one.
to.
You don't have to. You should want to.
What? No, I didn't like the story enough to want to. The story failed.
Well, then you need to read the extended manuscripts and you'll like the story more.
No. Because the
Look,
story
it's
failed.
a
so I didn't
circle
like
and you
it.
need to hop on at some point.
I mean, I did hop on. I hopped on with The Hobbit, the first book he put out. So.
Ugh.
And that
I
was
mean,
an okay story.
fine.
For a kid's book.
Something
And then there was
happened
this
to you
other
in
thing.
between reading The Hobbit and reading The Lord of the Rings, and you went horribly, horribly astray.
No. No.
No, yeah, that's what happened.
It was that
If
The
you wanna
Hobbit
block
has
it out, that's
paced
fine.
better. It's paced better. I mean, it was secondly paced more crazily because just shit's just fucking happening all the time. He's not really
Each page is
concerned.
a banger.
He's not really concerned with describing it like a war. It's like, and there's a war happens over there. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Meanwhile, in the movie adaptation, remember that one time when Tolkien glossed over a whole battle?
Yeah.
Well, none of that nonsense.
None of that. That's like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movie. It's like, I
It's
don't
been a
remember there being a
long-ass
battle.
time.
I don't remember there being this giant battle that you have in your movie.
Was there a battle in the movie?
There's definitely a battle in the movie
Oh no!
because they wanted to be Lord of the Rings really badly.
Fuck. I don't even remember. It has been so long since I should dive into that series again. Actually, it wouldn't take that long.
This is a little too like Christian for me. A little too actually allegory.
Whatever.
Because that one. I mean,
Ever.
like
Name
Lord of
one
the,
instance. Name one instance where there could possibly be religious allegory. You can't.
Look, that one's explicitly a religious allegory. That was what C.S. Lewis was interested in.
Nah, I don't see it.
Okay.
Nothing to that. Okay, you're just gonna let it.
I'm
lie.
like, I'm fine with
No
you being
fun.
wrong.
Aside from the resurrection, revelation, and
Yeah.
all the other Bible stuff, I don't know where you could possibly find anything.
What? I just don't remember enough actual specific things in those books that is that stuff. I just know that was like probably what I got sick of. Stopped reading them.
I just didn't think about it too much. Anyway, now that
At a
we've
certain point, it
completed
just
our-
becomes that, so it's just boring. It's just boring.
Eh.
Like Lord of the Rings, at times.
Excuse me?
Lord
What
of the Rings is
times?
boring at times.
No, it's not. Oh, let me get. Oh, well, there
boring
wasn't
at
enough
times.
sword brandishing and action-packed bullshit to keep your lowbrow senses of entertainment.
There's a lot of traveling.
appeased.
There's a lot of like, we walked here, then they set up camp,
And it's good shit.
then they got up, and then they walked. and
It
then they
was
set
a
up camp
big-ass
again.
journey. It was
Yeah.
a huge journey.
Just
Look,
throw the ring.
you obviously
Destroy the
don't-
ring already. Just destroy the ring already. It's fine.
Can't. They had to get to fucking Mordor. They had to get to Amon Amarth.
Not enough
That's
Gollum.
Mount Doom.
More Gollum. Gollum takes the ring to the Mordor all by himself.
No.
It's Gollum talking to himself the whole way.
Ugh. Now you're just describing TV episodes. Just describing future terrors.
Here's our Lord of the Ring TV idea. It's just Gollum carrying the ring for 7 years.
No, not even him. Yeah, like him carrying the ring, but like before before Bilbo gets it.
Oh, it's like how he becomes Gollum.
No, not how he becomes Gollum. He's already Gollum. But now it's just him like banging fish against rocks and being skulky.
It's
for
just him
500 years.
It's him in his cave before Bilbo
like
shows up.
like 10 seasons of him just like his random shitty adventures in his
just saying
cave.
precious over and over again. And like
Yeah.
petting it. Just Gollum petting a ring saying precious for...
But also realistic lighting, so it's actually just pitch black, and you only see the flash of his eyes like once every 4 episodes.
And then they do one episode where they don't CG it, and it's just... you just see the fucking... What's his name? Doing the mocap, sitting there,
Oh,
stroking
I forget
nothing.
his name.
Andy Serkis is just like sitting there in a mocap suit for an episode.
Well, no, you don't. They don't do a whole episode like that. They just release a bonus DVD of select episodes, and they call it the acoustic cuts.
It's a whole
then,
separate DVD package, premium value.
Not even included, just standalone. Charge like $40 for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. Okay.
He talks to people on the street in his mocap suit, doing the Gollum voice.
No, I'm making this stop. I'm putting a stop to this. Thanks for watching. This has been a Salt Circle podcast.
Yeah, you can email us at saltcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Find us at soundcloud.com/saltcircle. And on Twitter at saltcirclepod. You can find me on Twitter at comicpanels.
And I'm on Twitter at bean_LP. Never forget what Hank said about genocide and anime.
That anime is genocide? Is that it?
Nope. Nope. You're real offensive.